Whoa! This is worthless. You know, for a channel called MangaKamen, I don't really talk about the actual second half of my namesake, Kamen. When I started this channel almost 14 years ago, I had picked that name because I had come across a series that drew my attention, Kamen Rider Gavv. I was in school, having a bit of a hard time trying to keep up with my studies, being overwhelmed by the new information I had to process, and since my house didn't have internet at the time, I had to go down to the local library and rent one of the quiet rooms so I could use my laptop and perform my online studies through that. When I would take a break from the soul-crushing study, I'd surf on the net, watch some vids, and then I'd come across some sub-sites, trying to get the latest episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I came across this weird live-action show about a detective who could transform into a masked superhero. It had kick-ass music, amazing fight choreography, and the story was interesting enough for me to really sink my teeth into. And ever since then, I'd been a huge fan of Kamen Rider and tokusatsu in general. And now, for some reason, I'm making a video talking about the latest entry of Kamen Rider Gavv. The show has only been out for at least 2 episodes at the time of me writing the script, but I've been wanting to talk about this sort of thing for a while. Kamen Rider has been a long-running series in Japan, and if I'm honest, I found this series in tokusatsu to be a lot more consistent in quality than what we have in the West. Now, the series isn't perfect. Hell, I've got my own issues with some of the actual series, and I'm not gonna lie that I've dropped some here and there and waiting for the next one. Sometimes you'll unironically feel like, it's so boring. But that's a standard fare with pretty much anything, and aside from Toei watching their properties like a hawk and ready to stab people who dare to talk about their shows overseas, I haven't really talked about the series in any real capacity for a while. So I figured with this new one, let's change it. Let's set the scene, shall we? Kamen Rider Gavv takes place in an alternate version of our world, where monsters called garnets are coming from another world who hunt humans and deliver them to stomach ink, which through a not yet revealed process creates dark treats from humans. That alone has some dark implications about what's going on, and it's easy for someone to think, silent breed is people! Which, if true, is already pretty creepy. Enter Shouma, a human garnet hybrid who enters our world via the most interesting way. Well, he's dead. That was the fastest Kamen Rider series I've seen. Goodbye, everybody! Nah, Shouma lives, and because of the garnet part of his body, he actually is pretty capable. Hell, he's even able to stop Truck-kun from sending someone to Isekai world. Saving someone from being in a terrible anime. Godspeed, Kamen Rider! Now, I want to point out that Shouma as a character is pretty upbeat. He loves snacks, he's a bit of a fish out of water, and he's got an awkward culture shock going on. But is still a pretty cheerful person, especially when he gets snacks. Oh yeah, garnet have a second mouth in their stomachs, and Shouma is no exception. When he eats certain snacks, he can produce something called gochizo. It's what helps him transform into his Kamen Rider form, but more on that later. The entire series is based around snacks, and that includes even Gavv's transformation ability. So here's where we actually get into the topic of the video, how to make a tragic hero. You see, garnet have the ability to transform between their monstrous forms and more human forms, though their secondary mouths remain on their human forms despite what they look like. And Shouma in turn has his rider form be his own monstrous form as well. This leads to points where people will see Kamen Rider Gavv as a monster. Obviously, there are 2 events when this happens. The first time is the first fight when the mother of the kid that Gavv saves comes up and sees 2 monsters near her son fighting. And even though Gavv takes an attack to save the 2, the mother is too shocked and scared to care, taking her son, who is saying that Gavv isn't a monster, but she's not listening. The second is after the fight in the second episode, where Gavv saves a girl who he helped earlier in the day when he took on a part-time job. Unfortunately, it looks like the process where the garnet turn humans into acrylic statues makes them unable to see what's happening around them or puts them into an unconscious state. So she sees him as a monster. Again, Shouma is a kind person. To illustrate what he was trying to repay the kindness that is given to him in the shows that he's a very innocent soul. For example, when he saved the kid from the first garnet attack, the kid helped him out when Shouma came to the human world, and even gave him snacks. Shouma was trying to return the favor because the kid had forgotten some seashells that he was trying to surprise his mother with. And of course, saving the kid from being turned into a tasty snack. Hell, Souma's kindness even extends to the garnet he fights. He doesn't want to put them into the ground and offers them a choice to give up dark treats or he'll he'll end the fight with them dying. We've seen him do this in both available episodes up to this point. I mean, after all, they are kind of the same species too. To me, Shouma doesn't want to fight others. He doesn't want to see innocent people be hurt either. He makes the choice that he's destroying those Garnet race who are willing to hurt humans in that regard, all the while being seen as a monster by those he protects. This isn't the first time we've had a similar situation like this happen, even in Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Kiva had the titular rider be a crossbreed between humans and the vampire-esque monsters the Vanguard, and he too was being hunted, and he too was seen as a monster by the other protagonists. But getting back to Gavv, I find this to be an interesting case since we have this alien life form who loves snacks, is willing to fight for humans, and even fights his own kind for the sake of other humans. However, he'll ultimately be considered a monster for when he's in his Kamen Rider form. A hero to be misunderstood as a monster and possibly even reviled by those he protects? And why does he do this? Well, his motivations is his own mother. We're shown rather early in the series that Shouma was trying to escape from Stomach Inc., and we're shown flashbacks that his mother was captured and he was too weak to do anything to save her. His love and hankering for snacks is also inspired by his mother, who lamented that she couldn't have snacks from her world because she was human. We're still missing quite a few details from Souma's past, but that's to be expected since we're only 2 episodes in. This is to point out we have a great basis for a tragic character in the form of Shouma, and a lot more potential when we consider the already confirmed secondary writer, Kamen Rider Valen, aka Honto Karikita. Because 18 years before the start of the series, Honto's mother was attacked by a wolf-like Garroten. Because of that event, Honto strove to become an investigative journalist, looking for monsters that have mouths on their stomachs. And at the end of the second episode, when Honto is able to see Gavv for a split second, he's able to be excited about the prospect of getting a solid lead and actually knowing that these monsters do exist. So with this, we've got the setup for the two actually starting off to fight each other, especially when Honto does gain the ability to transform into his rider form later down the line. This again wouldn't be the first time we've had riders chasing after other riders, or even fighting them for reasons when they consider them to be monsters. And to be clear, I do hope we get a similar aspect where Honto does chase after Kamen Rider Gavv. It would add to the tragic life of Shouma. If it doesn't, we still have plenty here for our tragic hero, who puts a smile on his face and is willing to uplift others even though he himself has a deep sadness. This isn't to say that Kamen Rider Gavv is the greatest show of all time, but I can already tell that the first 2 episodes have set the groundwork for a lot of the dark yet colorful story that we have waiting for us. And I know I'm not the only one who is thinking this, especially when we get lines like this. Is Kamen Rider Gavv a masterpiece? No, it's not. But frankly, it doesn't have to be. It just needs to be a fun and entertaining time, and if you guys are able to find a way to watch it, I suggest you do. It's a great start to the series, and I look forward to seeing what the goofy writer can do. But if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and comment, and if you don't have a comment, put down below, Poppin Gummy! Juicy! Helps the video out and shows that you've gotten this far into the video. Regardless, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys next time. I'm MangaKamen, and thanks for watching. Later!